do have coming in confirmed reports of nuclear detonations.
My God. Our soldiers were right. War never changes.
My name is Inon Zur, and I'm a media composer. I would say 25 years I composed music for so many projects. A lot of them are video games. I am known for the Fallout series, Dragon Age 1 and 2, Prince of Persia, and many other games. In fact, I think I worked on over 80 to 100 games throughout my career until now. In 1997, I scored my first video game. Star Trek Klingon Academy. I remember it very well because it was something that I totally didn't plan on doing or was not into games at all. But when I've heard that a video game music could be made with live orchestra, it really intrigued me. So I've decided, all right, let's give it a chance. And actually, I think I am the first composer who recorded the Seattle Symphony for a video game. And I think I'm also the first composer who actually recorded a whole classical choir for a video game, and that was for Klingon Academy. Throughout the years of composing music for video games, I always tried to stay on the cutting edge, whether it comes to libraries and sound design, or composition, or the use of the orchestra. I would like always to introduce new elements and new realms for the world. Well, my romance with Fallout World actually came in 1999 with a company called Interplay, who introduced me to a game called Fallout Tactics. I was captivated right away with this notion of this parallel reality that Fallout presents. I got really fast and busy at work and created, I think, then what I believe is the base for the Fallout games that followed. And this is using a lot of organic sound design, using instruments in a non-traditional way, and using some stuff that are not instruments, just tools, in almost a classical way, like bowing and hitting and doing all the stuff. And I did it then, and then basically the journey continued through Fallout 3. In Fallout 3, the significant thing about it is this is where the actual known main theme for Fallout was created. Since then, these three notes, da da da, are consisted in all the Fallout scores. Basically, we took it and just, changed it according to the game. After Fallout 3 came Fallout New Vegas, then Fallout 4.
Everything can change in an instant, whether or not you're ready.
This wasn't the world I wanted, but it was the one I found myself in.
When writing a main theme, and we could talk about the Fallout 4 main theme, for example, this is something that is so important. We are usually doing it so early in the game. I'd say early versions of what's going to be the game. So I cannot really see anything. I don't know anything. But we know what we want to capture. We know what we really want to say. And it's all about the story and it's about the narrative. The important thing is when creating a main theme that this theme could basically mirror the rest of the score throughout the whole game. This is why when writing a main theme, it just takes so many versions. The producer of the game, Todd Howard, is very, very vocal and active in giving feedback on the main theme and the music at large. And the other director, Mark Lampert, also. And so between the three of us, it is really almost a day-to-day discussion of, okay, where are we hitting it? Where are we missing it? Nitpicking and basically really trying to bring it to the place that not only that the piece is going to be complete and good, but also will reflect the rest of the score to the game. After completing the main theme, then we actually start the game. We are sort of like diving into the story. There's always just many aspects that has to do with where the story goes, where the games are. You know, we could be in the mountains, in the jungle, in the ocean. I mean, this is where we really dive in to have the music reflect up, A, where we are, and B, what we really want the player to feel. So the search with the main theme actually carrying over to now searching, all right, now let's move it to the real world, so to speak, and take it piece by piece. And all right, so now this situation is like we are in a dark forest and, you know, we are basically venturing in. There is some danger. We're not really sure what is it. Go. And now what to do? Usually I will take elements from the main theme and start to incorporate them with new ideas that will reflect where we are and what we're doing. A choice of instruments when I'm coming to compose a piece is totally dependent on what am I supposed to say. Piano, for example, for Fallout 4 was sort of like the main instrument or what we call the signature instrument. However, when I get the brief and I'm reading it and I try to imagine in my eyes or my ears what this should sound like, not necessarily I will start with the piano, because usually I can hear the music before it is being written. I could hear it already in my ears. I know what I want it to be. If I hear strings, I will start with strings. If I hear percussions, I will start with percussions. The main idea of the composition lives right here. And basically all you have to do is just bring it out and use what you hear playing. Regarding my workflow, which is probably the most important part, creating a workflow and creating an environment for a composer that will be comfortable, inviting, and really engaging is the most important thing composer can have. We're talking about creating a ready to go palettes, sound palettes that will just be there and you know exactly where to look for them and then jump right in. So, I mean, the workflow will always consist on already ready to go palette. For example, if I know that I need to write a battle, obviously consists with lots of types of percussions, massive horns, and maybe really aggressive strings. And again, it depends. So once I have that, I don't really need to do a lot except of actual composing the music. Looking for sounds as part of the workflow will happen from time to time when I want to create a specific signature sound. And that's actually something that is really important. In many cases, I would like to present some sort of like a signature sound that is not part of what we call the regular soundscape, and this will stand out. Sometimes it will take quite long to look and to find this kind of signature sound. Sometimes even I will have to create it by shouting, by blowing through flute or didgeridoo or hitting a drum or anything, just to get this original touch that I can get in order to present some unique signature. And then after that, it just works itself together. The score for Fallout series probably has the most beloved for me signature sounds. Whether it is bowing a guitar or bowing a piano strings or hitting in a weird way on the piano or the piano strings, hitting on a chair, bowing vases. These all created the very rich and different world of the Fallout music. Usually when I'm working on big games like Fallout or other RPGs that are basically 30 to 40 to 50 or even more hours of gameplay, I will start really early in the process. I would say early is about 4 years before the game actually comes out. Then we will start thinking and writing the main theme. The work basically is going through all these years, not every day and not almost every week, because the game just takes shape and evolves and changing. And sometimes you even need to change. So if you write something in the very, very beginning in the process, and then something happened, and then you need to actually approach the game from a different musical point of view, then you will do it. So the beauty of it is that you're actually growing up with the game, and you're shaping the music as the game being shaped out. I would say that to start a video game, it needs quite a lot of introduction. And first you need to be chosen to do the game. And that's sometimes things that takes time. Sometimes you need to demo to get the job. You're competing with other composers. But from the time that you've been chosen to do the game, there is definitely an important part of introduction, and you get familiarized with what you're going to dive into. It could be you are traveling to where the studio is and meeting all the team and looking at some very early work on the game, having a lot of discussions with the creative team, what their vision about the music, where the music needs to be played, what kind of music, what music do they like, anything. And that's all way before the first note is being written. When talking about musicians that I'm working with, we have to go way back. I am a very loyal person, and the people that I'm working right now are people that were with me for the last between 15 to 20 years. I think that the same people who recorded the music for Fallout 4 recorded the music for Fallout New Vegas. And I think that some of them even played for me way in the late 90s. I have very solid relationships with musicians that know my music, and they will know how to bring my vision to life with their playing. I don't need to explain too much. Although over the years I've been introduced to new musicians, and I'm always open to work with new musicians, the core people that are working around me are people that we actually grew together. Specifically with Fallout 4, I remember, I think I was visiting Bethesda in 2012. And this is where we started talking about Fallout 4. And I told Todd and Mark, I think just judging by, what you're telling me, I really think that the piano will be a good idea. And both of them agreed with me. And then I was really excited, and I went home and I wrote a whole piece and I played it live on my home piano, which is a good piano. It's a Kawai and it's a grand piano and it sounds good and everything is great. And I sent it to them, and Todd's reaction was like, it really sounds too harsh. I know that it's a real piano, but this is really not what I think the piano should sound. I basically took the sound and then I went into the studio and started futzing around with electrical piano sound. And eventually created a sound that is basically made out of 3 to 4 pianos, creating more of the warmth that Todd was looking for, but with the realness of the real piano. So you could get these kind of events almost every day when you're writing something, because you have something in your mind and in your ears, and when you play it to the people that are creating the game, they immediately will respond and react to it because they know the game, and usually I don't see it. So their call, the first instinct that they will have, is actually what will tell us, is that the good direction or is that not the right direction? And it's a day-to-day process. Sometimes I will decide to record a whole orchestra, and I could tell you, like, for example, for Disney's Fantasia, I recorded in Abbey Road, and I used the London Symphony, the St. Martin in the Field Orchestra, and Chamber Orchestra of London. You know, I used 3 orchestras. Sometimes I will use the Prague Philharmonic or the Budapest Symphony, and sometimes I will record here to my studio, and I could record here up to 8 musicians. And so we're doing some kind of like an intimate session. And usually this is really something that is special for me, because this is where all the music is being created. So when you bring live musicians that actually are performing in the room next to me, it just makes the whole experience very special. Throughout all these years working on games, and I think I'm celebrating my 21 years this year of writing music for games, it's just every game is different, and you need to approach every score like you never composed music to game before. All this experience that I have, it's there, but it will help me only to a certain point. The rest of it is just basically almost opening an empty page and writing the first word there, and really, really, really mean that this is going to be the first word, and it just counts as a first word for this game. Otherwise, I could fall into a situation that my scores will start to repeat itself and be repetitive, and it's just like, oh, we heard the music from Prince of Persia and the music from Fallout and from Dragon Age and that stuff, and they all sound the same. And that's really dangerous. You have to find a balance between your own handwrite and style and the differences between the very, very different world of the games. And if I was able to find this, meaning keep my own handwrite, that they could still recognize my style, but really tailor-made a score to a game like it was basically grew with the game, then I've succeeded. Many people are asking me, what is the difference between composing music for video games and movies and TV? And I think this question was asked me from day one when I started composing for video games, and I could understand, because video games is such a different animal. So I would say this. First, there's no difference at all, because when you write music for a media, what you need to do is to capture the atmosphere. You need to tell the story. You need to give the listener, player, or movie watcher, or TV watcher, sort of like the fourth dimension, the emotional dimension. Having said that, the difference is that in game, usually you are not locked to a picture. You've been given a situation, a level, a part of the game that you need to score, and there is no way you could really predict what the gamer is going to do. So you have to write a piece of music that will capture the feeling of the gamer and the feel of the situation that the gamer is in at this point. In film or TV, it all, lays out and you just watch it and you basically, like we say, score the picture. You're being really glued to the picture and everything is being timed and you need to do it right there. So there you go.